A few months ago, I woke up to find thousands of illegal items on my Minecraft server and things in chaos. It was absurd. Sure, I had seen illegal items and 32Ks before, but the extent to which an unknown player had managed to obtain these items was unheard of. Bundles of 1.57 million golden hoes, stacked max enchanted netherite gear which sets your health to insane levels, insta-kill potions which could bypass spawn protection, a variety of other illegal items with custom data, stacked shulkers within stacked shulkers within stacked shulkers, and even custom nukes. And not only that, but as we would later learn, this exploit gave players the ability to use administrator level abilities, including banning players from the server, resetting their player data and items entirely, resetting entire world chunks, deleting players' bases, crashing the server at will, and even potentially allowing them to force op, gaining full access to all the server's highly sensitive commands. Such an exploit could have destroyed the server and hundreds of other vulnerable ones if only the players who used it were a little smarter instead of trying to taunt us. The story of this extremely obscure and immensely powerful exploit is an interesting and terrifying one. Let's begin. So what even happened? Well, a few months ago, a player on my Minecraft server, og-network.net, randomly sent a screenshot in our server's Discord of their inventory pinging the staff. In this screenshot were a variety of illegal items, including a full set of netherite armor stacked to 64 with illegal level 255 max enchantments on them. I don't know if it was intentional that both the armor's max health and max armor was set to 69,420, or if it was just coincidence, since 255 is the max level enchantment you can summon with commands, but it was there regardless. There were also stacked netherite tools, all with their respective max enchantments that even had been given special NBT data that gave you a bunch of additional health when holding them. Then there were a bunch of other rare or illegal items like bedrock blocks and end portal frames, all of which had custom NBT data making fun of us. However, the most dangerous items were hidden in plain sight. But first, are you sick of gaming on your slow, outdated laptop or crappy Apple phone? Then this video sponsor, the new REDMAGIC 10S Pro, will blow you away. The REDMAGIC 10S Pro is an absolute gaming beast. Here I am playing Minecraft Bedrock with an unbelievably stable 144 FPS. I didn't even see it drop below 144 FPS once, and even playing on my Minecraft server, notorious for being laggy, the frame rate remained consistent too. You can even download Pojav Launcher to play Minecraft Java Edition, and it also runs at an almost flawlessly consistent 144 FPS without any issues whatsoever. That's probably better performance than some of your computers. The REDMAGIC 10S Pro is made for gaming, and you'll feel every single one of those 144 frames due to the phone's 144Hz refresh rate display. You can even use the phone's inbuilt shoulder triggers, which you combine to whatever action you want in games, making for a much more comfortable controller-like system. And unlike most phones, the REDMAGIC 10S Pro's massive 7050 mAh battery, double the size of the latest iPhone, will allow you to game for hours at max settings with no issue. And to prove it, REDMAGIC is even running a 48-hour breakout challenge on their Instagram, where you can comment if you can last 48 hours without charging your REDMAGIC phone. The phone comes with an inbuilt customizable RGB fan to make sure it doesn't get too hot during those long hours spent gaming. And if you somehow do find yourself with a low battery, you can enter the game space to customize a variety of settings for each of your games to optimize performance. There's even a bunch of plugins you can use that can help you out in specific game situations. Oh, but I've saved the best for last, the headphone jack. This phone really has it all. Check out the new REDMAGIC 10S Pro using my link below and go to REDMAGIC's Instagram to participate in the 48-hour breakout challenge. There were these custom splash potions which when thrown would instantly kill players and entities, and as we later discovered, could even kill people in spawn protected areas. There was a potion that gave you 1 hour of invisibility, honestly not that interesting all things considered. There were custom NBT modified nukes which didn't seem to work, and another custom NBT modified egg which created a big area that would instantly kill any entity which walked inside it. This was so absurdly bizarre, but also scary. The player who initially sent the screenshot supposedly ended up getting shulker banned from the server because the data of all the items in the shulkers they were given was so high. And what was even scarier was the fact that we had no idea who did it. Supposedly the player managed to get the items from the server. They had no idea which player handed them out to them, they just appeared in their inventory. Other players of the server reported the same, mentioning that they were just casually chilling at their bases and and then somehow got killed and given shulkers all containing these illegal items. Another player managed to catch the username of the exploiter before they supposedly teleported to them and killed them. This went beyond a mere duplication exploit. These items were not items you could obtain normally without special administrator commands, not to mention the fact that somehow players had been getting killed by this exploiter, as well as teleported to them, and they were flying. The exploiters were smart. They acted stealthily enough to distribute the items and exploited goods around the server, but also understood that they would be caught eventually, and left a variety of renamed items taunting us. We had a bigger issue on our hands, however, and tracking down and finding whoever these players were would have to wait, as we needed to first figure out what the hell had happened and how we would fix it. So we began our investigation. The first thing to note was that most of you still aren't subscribed to my channel. No pressure, of course. Anyways, the first actual thing to note was that this exploit happened on my server's RPG survival game mode. Unlike most survival servers, this game mode had a variety of custom features which players could have exploited to get these items. For example, the server has a custom runes feature where you can get runes with enchantments above vanilla levels like protection 9 or sharpness 8, and then apply them to your tools and armor to make god items. This was my first initial theory when I saw the exploited armor, since it had been renamed to God Armor, that somehow someone had found an exploit in the rune system, allowing them to get max level enchantment runes or something. The reason this armor was even more powerful on the server, mind you, was because we had custom dungeons which gave you rewards for beating them, and some of them, like the hard dungeon, were almost impossible to beat, giving players a lot of money and other in-game goods if they did. So players could use this OP armor to effectively become invincible in them, ruining the server's economy. However, that theory was quickly put to bed, as it did not explain the fact that the armor and tools were stacked, and also didn't explain how they edited the data or NBT of the items to add that friendly message for us too. And then there was the unexplained custom NBT items and additional permissions like flying and teleporting. So the next theory was with the server's custom class system. Players can pick a class, and each class had its own abilities and upgrades to make them stronger. One way players used to be able to activate their class's special ability was by double-clicking space twice. This was later changed due to players finding exploits with it that allowed them to fly. One of the classes even had a short-range teleport ability, which I thought maybe the player who reported them got confused with. This theory was also weak though, and still did not explain all the custom items with special NBT. So we instead decided to look for any clues or hints around the server. We put it on whitelist mode so only staff and trusted players who had been affected by the exploit could join, and went looking. We teleported around to a variety of bases and warps set by the server's players, such as player shops and whatnot, and began finding exploited items just littered on the floor. We also found bedrock structures and other illegal items and builds, such as this random end portal someone had created on the surface. We found more placed shulkers around in random locations, even including some players' bases who didn't even know they were there. We eventually cleaned everything up, at least everything that we could find, and then allowed players back into the server, but we still had no idea who pulled off the exploit exactly and how. I decided to make a tweet looking for the only player we knew the name of who was supposedly caught on the scene of the crime, and a few days later, he actually responded. We got in contact on Discord and he sent me some brief footage proving it was him. This is where I learned that the exploit they had used was an exploit in the server's trade plugin called Trade System. You see, most survival servers have a custom plugin where you can type /trade to trade items with another player in a custom GUI. There's nothing unusual about this, but trade plugins are notorious for having dupe exploits. I've used a variety of trade dupes in the past on other servers myself. But this wasn't a mere trade plugin duplication exploit. These were not duplicated items, they were spawned in illegal items. The exploiter didn't know how the exploit actually worked. Supposedly it was their friend who had given them the illegal items too. Eventually my tweet got the right person's attention, and a player sent me a link to an obscure website documenting the exploit. A group of technical Minecraft players had found the exploit in the plugin. Supposedly, beyond just giving yourself items, as the exploiters on my server did, you could ban people, wipe their inventories, and even possibly remotely execute code or force op. I had to learn more, so I got in contact with one of the group's members named Mia. As Mia told me, the Trade Systems plugin effectively allowed any player to send a message with custom data or packets whilst pretending to be the plugin. Let me explain. Plugins are like mods for a Minecraft server, and one of of the way plugins communicate with the server is through a special plugin messaging channel using special payload packets that carry custom data. So, for example, the Trade Systems plugin would send a special packet with data to the server telling it that a player wants to trade, thus opening the trade GUI. Now, most Minecraft servers technically are multiple servers connected to one another. So for example, if you are on Hypixel, when you connect to the Bed Wars lobby and then to an actual game of Bed Wars, each time you are switching to a different server, and this is handled by Minecraft proxy systems such as Bungee Cord. The same thing happens on our server's RPG survival game mode where the exploit took place. The server spawn area and then wilderness area were on two different servers. You can see that when I'm at spawn and then teleport out to the wilderness where the custom vanilla plus terrain is, and where players can build, the loading terrain screen appears, which is an indication that I'm switching servers. Plugins like Trade System have a special trade proxy feature you can install on the proxy that's designed to handle this cross-server trading, which allows players to trade across servers. When this happens, the plugin sends their special message to the proxy, which handles it instead. That being said, my server and many others only allow players to trade when they are standing next to one another, meaning we never installed this trade proxy system. It was not functional, or so we thought, as by oversight the Trade System plugin always enabled cross-server trade plugin messaging channels even when trade proxy wasn't being used. Therefore, players could act like the trade proxy and send these special packets, commands and messages which the server's proxy had no way of denying, since the trade proxy plugin wasn't installed to properly check it out. Essentially, players could make a custom payload message using mods or other packet editors, request a trade to a non-existent or fake player, and then make the fake player put items in the trade, the items with custom NBT data, and then the exploiter cancels the trade and receives all the items. It's a bit confusing, I know, but all you have to really understand is that the proxy has been tricked by a player into thinking a trade has happened using a custom command or packet with data that the server thinks is from the Trade Systems plugin. Pretty cool. But what made this exploit even cooler is what the original exploiters didn't know and didn't do. Mia joined my server so she could show me its true power. The first thing she did was give me a stick item, which then kicked me from the server and then fully reset my player data. Basically, the stick had custom NBT data that was so large, it reset your inventory, ender chest and login location. This also had the side effect of chunk banning me from the server when I tried to go back to my previous location, preventing me from joining the server entirely as the stick dropped on the ground and thus crashed the game of anybody who went near it. So just within the span of a few minutes, my entire inventory was cleared, I was sent back to spawn, and I was chunk banned, all by an entirely non-operator player with no permissions, completely remotely. Also, as a side note, with the right commands, you can get some very illegal items like stacked shulkers, which normally aren't possible in vanilla Minecraft, containing stacked shulkers, which also isn't possible in vanilla Minecraft. Pretty insane already. This banned stick could also be used for other malicious forms of griefing, such as fully resetting the chunks they were placed in by overwhelming it with data. Since the RPG survival server has land claims, this meant that technically you could give people these sticks, of which they would then put in their chests accidentally and thus delete their base. You could also go up to the borders of players' claims and mess with them too, preventing them from expanding in the future. Mia could also straight up crash my client and the server by sending a really long specialized message as well. So not only could you get illegal items, reset players' data and reset chunks, but you could also use the exploit to turn off the server whenever you wanted. This had to be my favorite thing though. Mia spawned in a custom bundle containing 1.57 million gold hose. This actually lagged my game just to preview and made me laugh out loud. Now, technically there also may have been a way to force op, as you could spawn in command blocks with custom NBT data, potentially containing commands to op specific players. However, this part of the exploit wasn't very reliable, as often the server's other plugins or config interfered with the command blocks or command block minecarts, thus preventing them from being spawned with commands. But it was possible in theory, making this exploit extremely powerful and dangerous in the wrong hands and with the right server. So clearly, this exploit was a lot more powerful than what the original people who used it on my server realized, which, as Mia told me, was because they probably didn't even know that everything else could be done, as utilizing this exploit with a custom client as she did and spawning in the right items with specific NBT data was very complex. All things considered, things could have gone a lot worse on the server. I'll leave the post by Mia's group with details on the exploit in the description below. Not long after the exploit was found, it was promptly patched, and since most of the exploiters didn't know how to use its full potential, damage was likely minimal at best. That being said, some of the exploited items could still be hidden away on my server in locations we don't know about. In fact, I've even hidden a few of these items as Easter eggs on the server, including the bundle of 1.5 million gold. Here's a clue as to where they are. First person to find them gets to keep them. They are one of a kind now. I'm also going to be giving one of the exploited swords and $100 PayPal to the first person who manages to beat the hard dungeon on the server. So come give it a go. The IP is on the screen and in the description. Both Java and Bedrock players can join, and there's absolutely zero gambling. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you all so much for watching.